Yeah.
I'm running a 20 PHX this year. Got a day box, got one big center console, center box in the middle. I'll hold roughly about 1,300 pounds of tackle because that's what mine's got in it. Right.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So do you like the dual?
It's made on this boat. You can actually put about 6 rods in each side. So, you can put 12 rods in the center box with your down latch to get it out of the way to recess it. Basically, you just
should come standard on all of them.
Yeah, it really should.
Fascinating. Told me no.
But I only won PHS.
I did.
And this year you're running a 921.
Because I won 2 tournaments in that boat, man. I switched and I sucked, so I got to go back to the one I was good in.
But that's the cool thing. That's the boat that suits you.
I like that stack deck because when I pulled up the big 20, back in the boat I am, but I mean honestly, I tell people all the time, they're like, why this one, why that one? It's only because one has the dual better than that.
The big deal is about all fitting. I've always, I started in a 721 fence, and it's still one of my favorite boats today. Slider front deck, so 2 guys can stand side by side. Me fishing by myself in a 721, I never had any trouble, but I'm always myself. I can just tell you this about a Phoenix boat. Like, guys like big ones, I like a shorter one. But the deal is, when it gets...
But you guys know how he fishes, too, right?
Yeah.
Dude, slipping in every little hole. I hit a dock at Texoma with my big boat.
Yeah.
That hurt, dude. It's like...
For catching and driving? Is that the reason?
No. It was just that was a dumb mistake. But yeah, that sucked. It was kind of a foggy, really red buoy on the map. I didn't know it was right in front of me. So I just got that buoy. Yeah. Grow that brand to what it is today. I don't know what the boats are doing now, but I know that they're doing everything they can to keep up with sales, and that's a great thing. And that simple reason is how great of a boat it is. I mean, the one tell for me is that when I get and I'm sure you've had this, when I've had a camera guy on my boat, and he's like, yes, I'm in a Phoenix boat. I'm like, you don't care what kind of, he's like, no, man, I love this boat. He's not a fisherman. He's just all about the ride and comfort. So I always think that's pretty cool. But enough about the boats. I think we should take some questions. I'm sure you guys got some questions for the Flipping King, right?
Still on y'all's boats. You guys travel all over the place. Take the whole store with you. How do you organize and keep that all where you know where it's at?
Dude, that 21 I run, I can't even fill it up. I promise you. Like, if I'm going to go fishing, if I have that thing filled up, I'm not going to have a good day. Like, I need to just keep it a lot more simple than that. But then I have some extra storage in the back of the truck where I keep bins and extra boxes. But, dude, tons of storage. I try and keep heavy stuff in the back, lighter stuff in the front, just to give you more speed. We all know that. Or maybe we don't, but keeping the weight towards the back of the boat will definitely give you more speed. But, I mean, that's how I do it.
Yeah, typically for me, this is the time of the year, what I've been doing the last couple of weeks is working on my tackle. And this is the deal. I take everything out, try to get it all out where I can look at it. Most of my tackle is carried in my vehicle, in the truck. And then I just feed out of there as the tournament. But I really like to take everything out each year and look. If there's anything I've been carrying around that I haven't used, or I try to eliminate that stuff. And but I can't tell you that my tackle is simple because I carry lots of tackle and he does too. Because you know what, I got 50 bags of finesse worms. Now I may only use that finesse worm in one event, but you got to have it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we go to places where you can't, there's not a great tackle store like right here that you can run in because we have tournaments in places where they don't even have any tackle store, anything. Yeah. So you better have whatever you need. Yeah. So I typically, like I said, this time of the year, I get all my stuff out and look at it. And I also look at our schedule. And I try to pack my vehicle to our schedule. We're going to have some smallmouth tournaments this year. We're going to have some events where spotted bass are key. And so you'll have that niche tackle, and then I'll still always have the bread and butter stuff, that, everybody does. Everybody has a certain stuff that, they're going to carry regardless. And then...
I think we want to know how many jig boxes you have in your boat.
I probably, realistically, 100 pounds.
100 pounds of jigs.
100 pounds of jigs. That's about it. And this is the deal, I can look at the schedule and tell you that an ounce and a quarter jig, I'm not going to need. You know what I'm saying? But I still carry a little box of them just to keep them honest. But you know what I'm saying? So like I look at the schedule and you know, you can about figure a 3/8 to a 3/4 ounce gig is going to pretty much cover everywhere we're going to go. And again, I do like is it going to be we're going to have a lot of tournaments where I'm going to throw a finesse worm, or we're going to have a lot of tournaments where I'm going to be cranking a big plug, and I look at that. So the first couple of events, I've eliminated a whole bunch of stuff I won't need because I know those lakes, you know what I'm saying. And that's just kind of how I do my tackle. We don't have the luxury of fishing. Like a lot of times, I would like to fish the same lake more than once a year. If that makes sense. Like a spring and a summer or a post spawn. And we don't have that.
You get your tackle out each time. That would be a new tournament.
Yeah, and be a new tournament. But our deal is we're at this lake this week, and we may come back there 3 years later, and it's 6 weeks later, 6 weeks earlier, and it's different. But they.
We got a pretty good idea of what we're going to need before we get there, just based on time of year, what the fish are most likely doing.
But the main thing about getting all that tackle out and looking at it, and you know you got it. You know what I'm saying? So it may trigger something. You may be out there fishing. If I know everything that I'm carrying in my truck, my boat, whatever, and I practice one day of the tournament and something clicks, and I'm like, man, I need that. I can go back to the truck and get it. So it's always a good idea to get your stuff out because this is the deal. Most all fishermen now carry so much tackle. It's good every now and then to get it all out. So it triggers some part of your brain that, man, I know I need this. You know what I'm saying? So, and you'll have it. But if you don't look at it, you won't know you have it.
That's really good.
Answer your question in a roundabout way. What else we got? I know there's something. What's up?
So back to your Phoenix boat, so we see what Aaron Martin's done with his foam insulation up under his lids and stuff. Do you guys do anything unique on your boat?
Dude, that is it. That now he is from California. I will say that.
He's from outer space.
Yeah, he is, dude. Nobody else does that, and we're all doing just fine. But if Aaron was here, you would get a 15-minute. Now, bro, let me tell you why I do that, bro. I mean, nobody does it. You know how long it takes him a full day to do it, too? It's like 12 hours.
But you know, it works for him. And you know how fishing is a mental deal?
Yes, sir.
And like he goes, he's doing that because that makes, in his mind, that's making him better.
Sure.
So whatever works for him. And you know, everybody has little rituals and things that they do. Now his are a little on the extreme side, but I mean, honestly, that's what, I'll be honest with you, maybe it was last year, we were at it was actually a Major League Fishing, and I'm outside rigging myself up that I'm going to fish the next day or whatever, and he watches me tie a knot, and he goes, bro, that knot won't work. You can't do that. And I'm thinking, really? For 25 years, I've tied the same knot. And you're going to tell me today, because it doesn't work for him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so he's just like that. But I do think that's confidence. You know, the way you pack something, the way you remember what it is, whatever it is, everyone.
Do you think because I've heard this too, that Aaron would have won even more than he has already and all that if he wasn't that, if he would just settle down and fish sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes he
like early years, he always tripped himself out all the time. We're talking about Aaron and he's not here, but we could do that. He was in my garage.
You know, I've always said that about it. As far as naturally gifted fishermen, probably no better fisherman fishing the elites than Aaron, honestly.
Yeah.
That squirrel in his head gets him a bunch, but other than that, if he could pull that squirrel out of there, he'd beat him.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I did grow up in Northern California, and Aaron was from Southern California, long ways away. But always read and heard about that guy from the time I was 11, 12 years old. You know, he was killing everybody down there, and then he came up north and just
it's so fun to hang out with too.
Dude, he is for sure.
Speaking of Major League Fishing, what's your view on that, and how do you think it's going to progress?
You know, honestly, it's the funnest thing we do. It's an awesome format. You know, that deal of, you know, not practicing and knowing no one else's practice, and you know, not knowing where you're going till you drive out there that morning. And honestly, it is the #1 rated show on the Outdoor Channel now, and I don't see it stopping. You know, I mean, I see it just growing. And there are a lot of clubs out there now that are fishing that format. You know, because it's fun. And the big deal for me is it's a change. You know, from having fished you know, normal tournaments for so long, it throws something different in there, and it's real stressful when you're fishing, but before it's really laid back. I don't know, it's just different from the normal grind. It's a blast. Yeah, I really like it because it's that deal that, you know, everybody is even when you get out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, nobody's been there for a month practicing. You know, nobody knows any more about it than you do. It's just real even. It's who figures it out. And you see, I'll be honest with you, you'll see a lot of guys that have caught them on the Bassmasters that have struggled with that format because it kind of takes them out of their element. You know, so it's a new deal, and I think everybody's still kind of learning, you know, how to fish that format.
Yeah. I signed up for the selects this year, so I've watched it grow too much to. I shouldn't have waited this long to become a part of it, but
you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I always love the TTBC because I tell them, turn that radio on. I want to hear what's going down. You know, I love it personally, and it really makes you learn. I'll tell you one thing, man. It really makes you learn that fish have feeding times, for sure. How dead.
It'll help you move also. That's another big deal for it. Because the deal is, if you don't know what everybody's catching, and like typically on our normal deal, you're only fishing for 5.
Right.
So you can go 2 hours without biting. Yeah. But in this deal, you'll get so far behind. So, you know, you can even be on them and catching them, but not catching them fast enough. And no, you'll just go off and lead fish. You're like, this is not enough. So it really, being able to hear that live update, it'll help you move.
Yeah.
But I will be honest with you, when they put that foot on your throat too, sometimes you want them to turn it off.
I hear you. What's up, dude?
Streaming this online, we've got an online viewer asking if Greg will speak in the Road Warrior voice.
No.
What is that?
I don't know what it is.
Later on tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a question for you guys.
What's up?
So, most everybody here is all spectators and very big fans of the sport, all of you guys and all of your peers. How much is spectator votes affecting your guys' day 2, day 3, and how are you guys managing, and how tough is that to manage your plan when you go into a tournament versus after that first day? You've got some changing things with people wanting to watch you and wanting to support you, guys wanting to get on your spot after you, that sort of thing.
I think just the biggest thing with spectator votes, it's awesome, and I love it. I think Greg loves it. It's never really an issue with them getting too close. It's just the guys that go in and fish the fish after you're done. You're not done for the week.
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, I've ever had a spectator vote to cause any problem. More the merrier. But, and I'll be honest with you about that, there's only a handful of lakes in the country where we've had that deal where somebody, like you would fish a place and leave and a guy would get on it. Only a couple, honestly. That's a very small percent. You know how it is, one bad apple ruins the whole barrel.
Yeah.
But, and I'll be honest with you, like especially now with Bass doing the live footage, it's probably cut back a lot on the spectator boats because now a guy can watch 6 guys live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, all the time. So that's actually do however if you come to watch a guy fish and you're watching him, if you put your
best advice is if you can get downwind, if he's got his boat pointed into the wind, that's the only issue I've ever really heard with maybe guys spot. But I mean, dude, boats on the water, people watching you, we love it. And
that's part of it.
No one complains about that. Yeah. It's just the few guys, like he said, and it's very few lakes in the country, for somebody to actually jump their spot and try and go catch more fish than Greg Hackney or Kevin Van Dam, whatever. We don't even care if you fish it after. Like, you don't even care at all. Whatever, you put that place on the map now. You just want enough respect for it that week that you can fish it by yourself that week, and maybe another competitor gets in, but that's it. Do you have a question earlier?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, when you lose a fish or if you're not on a fish, what's in y'all? How do you keep the positive mental attitude? How do you bounce back if you lose a big fish? I mean, without getting spun out.
Depends how big the fish is.
That's right. The bigger the fish, the longer it takes to get over it. The deal is now everybody, you try to turn every negative into a positive, but I'm not going to lie to you, when a big one comes off, it hurts.
It sucks.
It sucks. But the only positive that is, and you always have to tell yourself this, you tricked one. See, I'm doing something right. So there's a chance I'll trick another one. And that keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it hurts when a big one comes off. A big one comes off.
What's the biggest one you ever had come off? The one, not the biggest, but the most memorable one.
I fought one for 5 minutes at Amstead that weighed 11 or 12 pounds, and I fought it till it was done. And when I was dragged, it was on its belly, and the football jig came out. And it did. It took me a long time. Yeah, for no reason, it just came off. And then I'll be honest with you, it floated. I tried to throw the jig back over it, snag it. I did. I'm like, I had it whooped. I did. I was trying to get it over close where I could get to it because she just laid there belly up, and then she just swam off. And it took me 45 minutes, and they were biting. And it took me 45 minutes to get over it because it was 45 minutes before I got another bite.
Yeah.
And it was a 7-pounder. and I still, I would have had like 35 pounds that day if I'd have caught that other one out.
Yeah.
But that was one of the ones. But I've had some 3-pounders that were.
Oh yeah, they cost you money. But the big one that you remember is
Yeah, I do remember that one because I've never fought another fish for that. I had 15-pound fluorocarbon, and I just had to be so. And halfway to the boat, it didn't jump like 4 foot out of the water. I mean, it was like a tarpon.
Yeah.
But it really did hurt because, and it also, I would have finished in the top 10 and felt like I would have had a shot to. That fish would have been the difference of me having a shot the last day of winning, or at least I'd have had a shot at it,
I had one at the same. This is the one advice I will tell you: don't lose one like this. I had a St. John's River. It was my second elite tournament ever a few years ago. I think you did really good in that one. I know you did really good the last time we went there, but I posted. It was day 4. I posted up on a fish I saw, dude. It was cloudy and the sun broke through for a second. I was sight fishing everything, and I saw a mammoth, dude, on a bed, and the clouds came right back over. It was like sun for like a minute. Saw this giant, put the power poles down. I was 45 minutes from takeoff. I knew at 45 miles, about 45 minutes, I'm good to go. I'll show you a picture if anybody wants to see after this, but I never really knew how big the fish was because I never got another good look at it. It was in 4 feet of water, cloudy. She finally bit after 30 minutes. I had like 1 minute to go. I set the hook like a total sissy, dude, and fish jump, come off. I reeled in my bait, strapped it down, and I had to drive 45 minutes thinking about it. We made it back with 1 minute. And then that was when they were putting GoPros on everybody's boat. And Shay Baker, the guy that runs the GoPros, he sent me a screenshot that I still got it on my phone. So if you want to see it and don't believe me, dude, it's a freak. Like a 12, maybe 13, massive, massive fish. And it cost me 10th to 2nd place. I wouldn't have won, but 2nd elite tournament. Yeah. That's the one that sticks out in my mind. Just don't lose it on and have to drive 45 minutes. That sucks.
What's it like prepping for your tournaments?
Prepping for tournaments, man, you go drop some real knowledge on you here. Breaking it down, like you talking like breaking down the lake, or?
Yeah, sure.
It's different. I don't really. I start thinking about the lake like way in advance. I don't do a lot of pre-map study, but I'm different. I don't do a lot of pre-fishing. I do a lot of fishing. Like I'm fixed, getting ready for our upcoming season. I'll fish a lot.
Instinctual fisherman is what you are, aren't you?
Yeah, it's better for me personally if I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
And I just get out there and feel for it, when we get there and deal. And this is the deal. I know there have been tournaments where that hurts me, but in the long run, that's just what's probably been best for me. Because I tried, I'll be honest with you, like early on in my career, I did all that pre-fishing and did spend a lot of time, and it just didn't work. And so I quit doing it, and I found that, I'm going to do as well as I'm going to do doing it my way. And so I started doing that. But, so for me, preparing for a tournament, preparing for this upcoming season, I'm going to fish a lot, as many days as I can be on the water. I work on my tackle a lot. But everybody's different. Like, when all my tackle and all is in really good order, and line, hooks, everything, just like now, there's stuff that, it's a confidence deal. And I've had, like I said, I spent all the last week working on my tackle and having it all out, having everything organized. And like I said, there'll be a bunch of stuff that I'll carry that I'll never use. But it's a confidence deal that I know it's right. And I'm just that guy that feels like that I'll control the variables that I can control and don't worry about the other ones. As long as I've got the ones that I can control, controlled, then my confidence will be high. But I'm not a big, like if it's going to be like a tournament where it goes to a place where it's a huge fishery that's you got to get back in little holes and stuff. Like I'm for pre-fishing on those, but these reservoirs that we go to, places where in 2.5 days I can ride the whole thing, I don't pre-fish.
Well, I think too that a big misconception when you watch him on TV, whatever, is that he just shows up and in practice right off the bat knows what's going on. That's not the case. Most of our practice, I'm not speaking for you, but it's trial and error. It's learning a lot of what not to do, getting enough bites to clue you into what possibly could be. And that's why you always hear a lot of guys sandbag too, is they really don't know what they're on. That's how it is for me sometimes. Like, man,
until you bear down during the tournament.
When a guy puts his trolling motor down, fishes hard for 8 hours, one of us, and he spends that time where he shook off bites and all that, it's a totally different game. So it is a little intimidating, I think, when you see the weights that we bring and stuff like that, but it doesn't just happen like that in practice. It may be something that doesn't clue you into the last half day of practice. And that's just enough, though, that your whole 2.5 days you learn what not to do, and now you got a good direction to go the first morning of the tournament.
And realistically, in our events, because they're multi-day deals, you're better off not to. You just figure out just enough to get you started in the right direction, and you want to dial it in during the tournament so you can follow it for 4 days.
How many times have you caught them in practice, or had what you felt like was a good practice,
and not had a good tournament? Right.
My worst tournaments, man.
Yeah.
Come that way.
Back when you hit the steel buoys with your boat,
not proud, dude. It doesn't need to leave here.
As the size of the units get bigger, are these companies going to have to revisit what their console platform looks like to be able to fit different electronics and different sizes into these things?
I think we've started seeing it a lot already. The big screen, 16-inch.
Yeah, surely, hopefully, we don't hardly have enough boat now to carry our electronics, so hopefully we've maxed out on the, because honestly, this is the deal. I'm in a rare situation where it's a luxury that I can have whatever, so, I got the best electronics possible. Do I think I could probably do it with a little bit less than that? I probably could, but since I have the opportunity, so I'm making the most of that situation. The biggest problem now with our electronics is that no one really makes a battery big enough to, when you got four, like guys, like I can remember when I had 4 9-inch screens, and I've actually cut back. I got a 16 on the console and 2 12s on the front, but a lot of guys out there now running 4 12s, and it takes.
Got 2 12s and a 6. That's 40 inches in screen, right, from 36, but you cut back.
But I really.
You miss spots. You will. If you have a smaller graph, you can't. The further that you can zoom out and keep detail on the map, it's easier to find more spots. And a lot of times zooming in and out, you're going to miss a few things.
But our electronics now are incredible. But Phoenix has built they've built a shroud, for the 2 units to sit side by side for the guys running 2 12s, or so they've really the boat manufacturers have already started to, because they know it's like. Used to, when I started fishing, I had 2 12-48 Lowrance flashers. Like when I started fishing out, like fishing big tournaments in other states, that's what I had. Yeah. And in 2003, the Classic was in New Orleans, and I had my first GPS, and it was so I could run from Signet to Venice.
How far is that run?
It was 114 miles. But that was the first GPS I had, and I take that back. At a BFL one night, I won the drawing, and I had a handheld Garmin.
There you go.
And that was actually the first one, because I can remember running round and around the circle at Okeechobee trying to find this fish on the bed. And I had that handheld GPS. But it's amazing that in that short period of time, like, how great our equipment. That's one. Now think about this. And we have the best boat. The boats are by far better now than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
We have the best equipment, the best electronics, and basically we're at the point now where you can spend whatever you would like to spend to catch a fish, and that fish still stays one step ahead of us.
Yeah.
You talk about the different styles of jig hooks. Some guys like the light wire when they're fishing deep. When you're
flipping, you probably like the heavy wire. Can you kind of?
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, like
that's probably just in general. If you're fishing deep, you want something lighter wire because it penetrates better.
Yeah, and chances are when you're fishing deep like that, you're using lighter line, and you know you're making long casts a lot of times. Like especially like that deal at Amstead when I lost that fish, I just a small 5/0. I mean a fine wire hook, and it. You know, that was just a freak deal that fish came off. I didn't have any issues with any of the rest of them, but anytime I'm making long casts like that and you're using a smaller rod and lighter line, you don't want that big hook. It's hard to get it, hard to get it. But with that being said, anytime I'm flipping, but actually I flip one jig with braid, and then when I'm flipping fluorocarbon, I typically fish a little. Now it's not a light hook, but I fish a little lighter hook with fluorocarbon. You know, when I'm flipping a jig. Well, striking, I honestly just designed a jig that's a lot like my flipping jig, but has a lighter hook for flipping fluorocarbon. You know, so anytime I kind of change the tackle, you know, I use a parabolic rod to flip braid with because there's no stretch, and I use when I'm flipping fluorocarbon, I use a much stiffer rod, you know, because you do have some stretch, and so I kind of work the hook around, the whole deal, and I like a light wire hook when I'm casting, you know, a jig out deep. You know, we're fishing light line. I'm fishing a finesse jig.
Yeah, it does
still use a light hook, you know. So.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. A lot of people I feel like that's over. Like if you're losing a lot of fish, it could just be in the size of the power of your rod and the size of the hook that you're using. If you're always like, man, I'm always losing fish. Well, that'd be the first thing that I would look at, right? Is because if your rod is too soft for a jig that is too thick of a gauge of a hook, you're not going to be able to penetrate that past their mouth, the bar past their mouth.
Or it can be the other way around too. If you could be using the jig with the best hook and the rod's too stiff and using braid and tear a big hole in their mouth.
Yeah.
You know,
the hook just flexes out too. You might see a scrape mark in the top of their mouth, and the hook will actually just flex and then come back looking even normal sometimes. But you don't realize you lost that fish because of that reason.
And that's one reason I fish a lot. Because I experiment with anything new, and you know these rod manufacturers, you know, like I'm with Quantum, and every year we get new rods, and so all that stuff has to be tested. And you know, this is the other deal. I don't care who the manufacturer is, and you can read on there what it says. It's a 5-power or a 4-power, whatever. You need to fish with it and see what it is, because like that necessarily the guy that built that rod is not necessarily the guy that's going to fish with it. And you know he's got in his mind what.
Well, we can go over there right now, and every medium does not feel the same.
It's not medium. Some will be medium heavy. Some will be heavy. I mean, it's so you need to try all that stuff, you know, and experiment with it and find out what works best for you. Because this is my deal. I flip with braid most of the time, and I know other guys who don't. And I know he uses a leader a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he uses a leader. I don't do that, but that's not because it's not good. That's what doesn't work for me. You know, so everybody's different. So this is a deal. I could get up here and tell you this is exactly what I do and this is what works for me, but that may not be what is best for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it all depends on the hook set. You might get by with a stiffer rod on braid than I do because of the way we set the hook. It's because it's different. You know, so there's no, what I'm saying, you know how fishing is, there's not one guarantee. You know, that what works for me, you might have, or what works for you, I might have to tweak it a little bit to make it work for me. So everybody's different. So that's, you know, you just have to experiment with that stuff, you know.
I think the best advice I ever got to was just, you always want to make sure you're using a rod. My goal is to make sure that I can get the barb past their mouth, so I have a good hook set in the fish. So I always would rather use maybe a little bit too stiff of a rod than too soft of a rod. Because if I can't even get the barb past the mouth, you know, through, then chances of me landing that fish go down dramatically. But at least if I get the barb through, the hook might bend a little bit, whatever. But if I have a little bit heavier rod, it's at least play to my favor at the most important part, whereas when you're hooking that fish.
And you know, everybody likes different rods. Like, if you go over there and you go through all the rods that they have over there, some will have short handles, some will have longer handles. I'm a guy that likes a shorter handle. I don't want it to touch my arm when I'm flipping and pitching.
You can't stand it.
Yeah, I can't stand that. I like a shorter handle. I don't want it in the way, you know, when I'm doing that. I can't. When it rubs, that's too, you know. And then other guys like a longer one because they can hold it on their side when they set the hook. So it's just, you know, everybody's different. You know, that's the reason he runs a 921 and I'm running a 20-foot boat, because that's what suits me the best. yet him and I are going to go to the same lakes, you know. But that, you know, it's just everybody likes different things.
All right, it's kind of a split question, but your gear ratio for your famous swim bait and your gear ratio for your hack attack flipping hook.
You want to go first?
Because they're kind of your specialty, so.
Yeah, swim bait's my specialty. Wow, man, it used to be.
I
They
thought
don't
you
like
more
it
of a
anymore.
drop
man.
shot.
See, I change every year. They used to like a swim bait, like east of California, and that's changed, man. These fish have gotten really, really smart. I live at Lake Gunnersville, so like when I first moved there, they had never seen a swim bait, dude, and it was lights out, like single swim bait. And then the stupid Alabama raid came about and just wrecked swim bait fishing really for the worst. But I will say this about the gear ratio, and then just my opinion on gear ratios to make things really simple, is that anything that I'm moving through the water column, I'm going to use most likely a 5.4 or a 6.4, 6.6, something like that. Because I'm not pulling the bait through the water column with the rod, but I'm actually using the reel to move that bait through the water column. So that gives you the better action on that bait. If you are using a jig or a worm or whatever that you're using to answer the question, I'm using a 6.4 mostly on a swim bait. But then if you're using a jig or worm or something that you're actually getting the action and moving that bait with your rod, and you're not moving it with the reel tip or with the reel handle, then you want a faster reel because all you're doing is picking up slack with your reel, right? So I pull a jig, I drag it towards me, and then I reel up the slack. And so it wouldn't make sense for me to have a 6.6 or 6.4 and 30 feet of water where I got to reel up, you know, and I'm getting 8 less inches a turn. I want to get the most I can get. And I have that same argument for flipping is I use and some guys disagree with this, but every time I've ever set the hook on a flipping fish, for me, and I do love to flip, I have a stiff 7.5 to 7.11, heavy to extra heavy. All the power that I'm putting against that fish is in my rod and me pulling against that fish. All my reel is doing is picking up slack line that I'm pulling with the power of my rod. So personally, I use a 9-to-1, and I love it. And people try and tell me it doesn't have enough power. But I don't sit there in a grass mat and put that reel up in my stomach and act like I'm tuna fishing trying to get a 9-pounder out of the grass mat, you know. So that's my opinion on gear ratios across the board that doesn't get talked about very often.
I would agree. But the only problem is now Quantum doesn't make a 9-to-1, so I'm forced to use an 8-to-1.
We gotta get you.
But realistically, you know, honestly,
but you use an 8-to-1 when you're flipping?
I do, and if I use a small reel. But this is the deal. Like most of the time, for me, I use a 200 size reel.
Yeah.
And you can get by with a 7.3 because realistically, a 200 with that big spool and a 7.3-to-1 is as fast as one of those little bitty reels.
Right.
Yeah. So but I'm the same deal. Like anytime I'm winding a bait like that, I like the deal is that slower reel keeps you from over winding it, and especially when you're fishing that swim bait out deep. Yeah. It's a lot easier to keep it down there on that slower reel than it would be on the fast reel.
And I can't keep the action on it if I use too fast.
Over.
Yeah. Dude, it's not the same.
And it's almost like back in the day, I don't slow reel with spinnerbait much anymore, but back in the day when I did, you know, it was always with like a 5-to-1. Yeah, so you could keep it down there. That way when you make a long cast, it would go down like it's supposed to. And the swim bait basically is that same deal.
Yeah.
You know, and now we throw a swim bait instead of a spinnerbait because the water's clear on most of these lakes, and the swim bait does a better job.
Do you feel like the times are changing? Though, like I feel like bass fishing's in a period right now where things are changing. Like a spinnerbait's starting to become good again because not as many guys are throwing them.
Right. But everybody throws a swim bait.
Yeah,
everybody throws a swim bait. But yeah, I like the fast reel flipping, and because basically, again, it's just like he said, that big rod, you're moving the fish with the rod. You're just using the reel to pick up slack, and then if you hit one and he runs, you need to be able to, you know, to stay on top of him and keep the line tight. But I'm big on having that bait, making that bait work right using those slower reels. I think that's a big key to the swim bait fishing.
Answer your question? Cool.
Any thoughts on this year's classic venue, and do you feel like it suits your fishing styles?
If I made it, I would love to be there again, but I didn't. I'm sure he will do well.
You know, I like. It's a great lake. I mean, it's one of the best lakes that we go to. It is a fish factory. You know, it all depends. You know, this year we're having winter. The last time we were there, we didn't have any, and then it was 12 degrees during it's so hard to tell. We have these crazy winters now, but it really looks like this winter is setting up to be winter. I mean, we have another real cold blast this week, and then we've got all of February, so cold every time I've been there. I guess I fished maybe 2 classics there.
You guys have never had a regular tournament.
Yeah, every time I've been there, it's just been super cold winter time fishing, and the lake was down. And you know, if you look at the past couple years, it'd be a chance it'd be sight fishing. They could be on the beds when we got there, but who knows? But you know, it's the classic. It doesn't really matter where it goes. You know, it's you look forward to it.
Last time we were there, it was 10 degrees at takeoff. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we lost a couple hours that morning because there were boats frozen to the trailer.
We couldn't get mine off. I was one of the first guys, and they
killed my early bite.
Yeah, mine too. I only had 3 fish that day. I'm nervous.
You guys got a new lake this year in Dakota, right?
South Dakota, yeah.
I guess possibly the biggest reservoir bass has ever had an event on. I know it's the longest.
Yeah. It's like Lake Mead status.
It's 270 something miles from end to end. So
you can run to the other end.
Yeah, there won't be any fishing on the other end. And I think it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't think there'll be any places to get gas. It'll be it's a very unique fishery. All I heard from one of our anglers that went last year and pre-fished that you don't want the wind to blow.
Yeah.
He said it was really, really bad. He went and put off up somewhere in a boat. It's Earlers who it was.
Oh, yeah.
And he said he got up there and the wind picked up and he was by himself and couldn't get his boat on the trailer.
Gosh.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting. You know, we go to a lot of neat fisheries. I'm not sure how they pick. Because this is only my deal. Every time we go somewhere like that, I'm like, how many good places did we drive by to get there?
Yeah. True.
I mean, we're passing lots of water to go to South Dakota.
That's what's cool about the Major League Fishing stuff, too. You guys can get on some of those smaller bodies of water.
Yeah, it is cool because there's only 24 guys.
Yeah.
Well, now there's 30, actually, sorry. There's 30 of us now, so...
opens up the plane.
Yeah, and you know, they fish like 10 a day, so 10 guys, so... You know, you can go to a 2,000 or 3,000 acre lake and really have a good event. And there's a lot of places in the country that's suited for that, you know, that doesn't have a lake big enough to put, you know, the 110 elite guys on.
What do you think of the rule changes this year for MLF?
Which one?
Less than a pound?
Oh, you know what? I kind of like that. The deal is they were catching some flack, even though those fish were 12 inches long. You know, we go someplace, a little spotted bass or something, and those fish didn't weigh a pound, and they were catching a little flack about weighing fish that small, and that was the reason. You know, so that's probably better for television. That was what that was about, because you know I can remember, you know, this past season we fished in really good lakes in Texas for the World Championship, except for one. And we go to one lake that I caught some 9-ounce spotted bass that were 12 inches long.
Oh, dude.
You know, I mean, it was bad. Lake Jackson is not my favorite lake in Texas. Kelly Jordan's still here because he had something to do with that. I think he was mad because he didn't make it, so he was going to try to stick it to us. But yeah, I think honestly probably better for TV. And it's no different from, so the deal is you may catch one that's 10.5 inches long and it weighs a pound and you get to count it. So
oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, as long as it weighs a pound. So the deal is it has to weigh a pound. It doesn't matter how long the fish is, it has to weigh a pound.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you'll catch some that are probably 13 inches long, that won't weigh a pound, but other places where if a healthy fishery, especially when we go up north, about all of them weigh a pound.
Yeah,
you know, so I think that's good.
Got an MLF related question. On the Elite Series, you guys boat flip fish, toss them back when you call. What's your thoughts on the soft treatment of fish in MLF compared to the Elite Series?
MLF is set up, around the board to be easy on the fishery. You know, the deal is we don't carry those fish around in our live wells. And if you do hook one deep, honestly, he has a better chance if he never goes in the live well. I mean, you know, I'm a realist. A lot of times, there is some delayed mortality from some of our events after you beat a fish in the boat. So, you know, that format works for MLF. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying it works for the way that deal is set up. And so.
Can't argue with it.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's,
you know,
it's
honestly,
pretty cool
when
to weigh a fish and let it go.
Yeah, it is, but it's also pretty cool when you do have that day when you got 5 giants. It's pretty cool to have them to hold up on stage too. So you know what I'm saying? It's, you know what?
Yeah.
It works for MLF, and what Bass does works for it.
Yeah.
So.
Really, I was trying to ask about the rule about, you know, touching carpet versus not touching carpet. You know, Elite Series, you just boat flip them in the boat and get them in however you can.
Yeah, you know, again, honestly, that's perception.
Okay.
You know, I honestly don't think when one hits the carpet and you turn it loose, I don't think it gets hurt that bad. You know what I'm saying? But it's perception, and that's just part of the rules with Major League Fishing. You know, but I'll be honest with you, in my boat, I'm king of the food chain, and he's coming. Like, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm fishing for a living. I love fish. Don't get me wrong. And I want them all to make it back. But when it comes right down to it, anyway, I can get it in there. That's the way he's coming.
What's up? I think it's great. I just think it's another good thing. I mean, everybody, I haven't talked to one guy that thought that was a bad idea. I've used a couple different ones. Cowl Coast is the ones that I used last year, and they work great. And I've held 6-pound fish straight up by the clip. So
yeah, TNH Marine has a really cool one too. That's got a deal that slides over where it's almost impossible for that fish to come off the clip. But you know, honestly, that you know. It does. I've caught fish that have been on those cull rings, so I know the fish is still surviving. You know, we've all caught them that have been culled before and had that clip. But again, it's got to be better if you don't have to poke that hole, you know, through their mouth like that. It's, you know, it's better. You know, it really is. You know, because our whole deal is, and everybody in our group is that way, whether it's Major League Fishing or Bass or FLW or whatever it is. We want that fish that we catch, that fish that we hope to make $1 with, we want that fish to go back in the lake exactly the way it came out of it. We all hold them in very high regard. I mean, you know, and so anything that we can do, you know, so that when you go fishing or we go back there again, there's a chance we can catch that fish again. You know, we do that.
Have either of you guys fished Lake Travis as professionals, or just out of curiosity? Because
can't get information.
Yeah, don't say anything about it.
Well,
You can't. But no, I've never. No, this will be my first trip there.
Same here. Same here.
Couple of questions. How long in advance do y'all know what lake y'all are fishing or what state y'all are going to? And do y'all fish a couple of different lakes within a week's time or 2 weeks' time?
Is it Major League Fishing?
Yeah.
Well, Major League Fishing, now, I will tell you this, like the next event we fish, I know the state we're going to, that's pretty much all they'll give us. And that's just so that you can make travel arrangements for that time. But other than that, they keep it up. I mean, we won't know in Major League Fishing, I won't know till that morning when we leave to go to the ramp that, you know, when it gets daylight, then I know where we are. You know, I mean, we ride with somebody and we can't, like once we get in the truck in the morning, we can't look at our phone, we can't look at anything. And then when we get to the lake, they actually hand us a map of the outline of the lake. It's not a topo map or anything, it's just an outline of the lake. Everything is kept really, really hush-hush on that deal. Now, you know, on Bass, we knew last, July, August of the year before, you know, we're fixing to go this upcoming season. But on Major League Fishing, and realistically, they don't even tell us the state till a month or so before everything is kept really, and we're not allowed, like, once they even tell us, like, the state, I don't even look at the weather map or anything because we're not allowed to do any research. And we
can't even look at weather?
Yeah, not until you get there.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't look at anything, and we get polygraphed at each event for that. So, I mean, they've got it like where you are scared to look at anything on Major League Fishing, which is good because it honestly, it's out of sight, out of mind. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about looking at it because I know nobody else is looking at it. So it's really a cool deal. But yeah, they keep that a secret right up to the end. You know, basically till we show up.
You don't even look at the lakes inside the state, huh?
No, we're not allowed to look at any of that. And typically they schedule it away from where any of our other events would be, so there's not any crossover. So there wouldn't be a chance that we might be practicing for a BASS event. You know, it's you know, they take good care of us.
When's the first tournament?
We're fixing to fish in a couple weeks.
Well, for bass.
Yeah, we.
I'm talking about for MLF.
Well, that I don't know.
Oh, so they don't know yet?
Well, if they did, I couldn't tell you. It's all secret.
Tell you, but I have to kill you.
Being in the elite anglers, is there any difference in your, to say you're there to win the event, or you're there to do well in all the events? Does that change how you attack the year?
I think that, I look back on last year, me personally, I finished top 10 the first 3 years, 11th, 7th, and 2nd in points on the elites. And not until I won did I start fishing different. And that's when I look back at this year and I finished 61st and I had a bad year. I look back and the only thing that I can picture is once you taste victory,
yes,
you really want it again. Because like when you hold that blue trophy up on the stage, there's no, I had a kid and I love my kid and that's the greatest thing in my life for sure.
You don't know when you get overexcited about too much stuff. I just kind of laid back. And I will be honest with you. Like, as my career has changed, I went through that period of time where I had to win one, and then I finally did. But I'm gonna be real frank. I love to fish now as much as I ever do, but I fish for the money now. And I want to consistently draw a check because I got a family, a much larger family than he does. And realistically, I feel like the more times I put myself in that position to draw a check, the more chances I'll have of winning. Right. The more classics I'll make. So it's just it's a mindset deal. But my goal is, honestly, every tournament when they hand the paychecks out for me to get one. Because I feel like if I put myself in that position enough times, the other will follow when it's supposed to. I can't control it. But
they say dance with what brung you.
That's it. That's it. And so I've learned, and this is like, again, it's come over a long period of time, and everybody learns in different ways. For me personally, that however my practice is at that first event at Lake Martin, it's good. It's good. I have to be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, just to be satisfied. As long as I know I went out there and I did what I was supposed to, didn't make any mistakes, it's going to be good. Regardless, it's going to be good.
Thank you.
Do you feel the competition is better now than the format started across the board?
Then when the elite format started, that'd be one for you.
Well, the elite started in 2006, and I'll be honest with you, that's about the time that the competition picked up because it cut out all the ones that were not supposed to be there. And used to, I remember like when I started fishing the tour in 2004, and it was the top one, it was top 150, and they paid 75 places, and it was not hard to get a check. You could have a bad day and get a check, come back the second day, still get paid.
Yeah.
And then in 2006, it eliminated all the donators. And when that entry fee went to $50,000, it weeded them out pretty quick. And so the deal is now they pay 50 places, and realistically, we got about 85 guys, 75 to 85 guys that are fishing for that money every time. Would you agree?
At least.
At least.
I mean,
it may be, and last year, honestly, I feel like we had the biggest, best group of rookies that we've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like we are cannibalizing ourselves in a way because our group just and we're drawing from, and all the guys now that we get from FLW are all known hands. Mm-hmm. So our group just keeps getting better. And the competition just keeps getting better. I would say without a doubt now, it's insane.
Yeah.
How good they are.
It is. It's tough, dude. You got to have 2 really good days just to get paid.
That's right. You can't have a bad day. You can't fishing for points.
Jared Lindner told me this. You can't really have a bad few hours. Like, even just a bad few hours is not good. It's got to be going productive in some way, shape, or form, where you're learning from what's, if you're not catching fish. I mean, it's that good.
I mean, it's gotten to the point, if you read down the elite field, you'll know, if you follow bass fishing a little, you'll know 85 of the 100 guys I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Our household things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, we've seen Van Dam finish in 99th.
Yeah.
You got to compare. You got to say that when it's Van Dam.
Right.
There's 108 guys, and the best in the world was finished. I think he's finished 101. Like, and he didn't really used to do that. You know, and he still can win. Obviously, we've seen that in the last 2 years.
But the way it is now, you can't have a bad tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's insane. But, you know, the deal is, it's just like anything else. Anytime the competition steps, it makes everybody better. It really does.
Yeah.
It affects our whole field.
Yeah.
Personal best, one fish.
13 pounds, 9 ounces.
12-8.
12.8.
I got you beat on something, dude.
Yeah, but we just getting started.
Hey, that's, you know what? That's because I'm from California, though.
Did he come from California? I caught mine on the Arkansas River.
Wow. I would have never guessed that.
That's like a 20 on the Delta.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What'd you catch it on, Greg?
Blue lizard. It was spawning on the stump. Called it sight fishing.
You want to know how I caught mine?
Yes.
Swim bait.
Nope, drop shot. I was a co-angler in an FLW tournament, and I caught it on my last cast of the day. I pulled out a 12 1/4 incher with a 13.9. Still was the 5th biggest bass ever caught in FLW, period.
Oh my God.
Wow. It's the luckiest fish I've ever caught in my life.
I caught 11-11 at Amstead the last time we were there in a bass. That's the biggest tournament fish I've ever caught.
That's a monster. Yeah. There's very few places we go
that you can catch that kind. Texas is, honestly, with the take California out.
Yeah.
Texas is probably the second, but not counting California being number 1. Texas is the second best state in the nation to catch a 10-pounder.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's got a lot of 8 and 9 pounders, but 10 pounders, Texas is.
If I had, I don't know, maybe you guys know a big public lake better than this, but if I had to guarantee a friend a 9+ pounder, I would take them to St. John's River when they're in the springtime.
When they're bed.
Yeah, in the springtime.
When you can see them.
And just casting around.
But if you were just fishing,
it'd be
hard.
In Texas.
It'd be in Texas. Yeah, no doubt.
Down.
Yeah, the Texas parks, wildlife and fish. I mean, they stock lakes with stock from 13 pounders.
They do.
I mean, you know, it's just like big deer. You know, if you got all big stock.
A big.
When is Hackney going to end up at LSU coaching a fishing team?
As soon as they hire, I'm ready to go.
Well, the only thing that's holding us back in the state of Texas is showing those people in the colleges how to make money doing it. When are y'all going to start doing that?
I don't want to. Why am I going to? I'm 30 years old, 31. Why am I going to go teach them how to beat me?
Yeah.
I've already had that happen a little bit, and that's enough. So I got an age limit, 10 years old, man.
But you know the thing about that is there is some holdbacks now with collegiate fishing, but it has grown a lot, and I think everybody is seeing how big it, look how fast it's grown in such a short period of time. So from the high school to college, and the cool thing about that is that's what's feeding our industry. I mean, because we went through a pretty good period of time there where the average age of most bass fishermen were probably 40 to 60. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's cool to fish again. And there are a lot more kids doing it. Like this is just in recent time. It hadn't been that long ago when, there weren't many kids out there really fishing. And so the high school and the collegiate level deal has exploded our industry. So it's good for everybody.
The high school I went to in California, I remember going to high school there and not telling anybody I even fished because it wasn't cool. And now they got a high school club, fishing club. It's pretty cool.
In the state of Texas, you've got 2 universities, D1 University, D3 and D1 provides the boats. Companies get it out. The rest of it is on mom and dad. So at some point in time, there needs to be somebody step up and show these universities how to fish so we can carry the sport. We can sell more Phoenix boats. We can sell more leads fishing. Who knows?
Maybe you're that guy.
Can you help?
So what are you saying? Because the guys got newer boats that they're better fishermen?
Electronics, yes.
Sometimes. I'm still, man, I'm sure, to me, it's everybody's got to start somewhere. So I didn't start, I started in an old boat. And I still love to see the guys that are out there that are young and hungry.
It is pretty cool at those collegiate tournaments where you see all the different, but you see ones in a 14-foot John boat, and then it's pretty cool because that's the way it was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
There were all kind, you know, like when you had a tournament, you saw all kinds. They weren't all big boats, you know. There were all kinds of boats.
Yeah. I think, dude, it's about how truly passionate and hungry one angler is versus the other. The guy can have everything in the world, but if he's not as hungry and practicing as much as the guy with just a trolling motor, the guy with just a trolling motor can go out there and smoke that guy a lot of days. So that's my opinion. I don't like to see everybody.
And you know what? I'll tell you something I think will grow collegiate fishing. As soon as we make the top pay like NFL or like NBA, you won't have to worry about the bottom. It's coming. I promise you. And that is one thing that makes college football and all that so big. It's all that at the top. Look where a lot of those boys are, you know, I mean, I get a chance for $5 million over the next couple of years. You know what I'm saying? So it's still, you know, we're a long ways from there, but when we get to that point, I hope we do that pretty soon, honestly.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody. But I've always thought that if the top was big enough, the bottom will come.
That's right. That's where we're at.
It's coming right now.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well,
All right, guys.
thank you.
Time's up.